The day of the embolism, I came home for lunch, was getting ready to go back to work, and all of a sudden I just completely lost the ability to breathe. I was scared. I didn't know what to do or how I was going to handle it, or I just started walking around the house. I was terrified. I went out in the garage, and I didn't know what was going on. In the garage, I almost fell down, but I grabbed hold of the refrigerator, and I said to myself, if I go down, my wife's going to come home, open the garage door at 5 o'clock and find me laying there, and I just couldn't have that happen. I've got a 9-year-old granddaughter who's the light of my life, and she calls me Papa. There's nothing I wouldn't do for her. She's just so much fun to have around. And I've got 5 children who I love dearly, and I had to stay around here for them.
A pulmonary embolism is a type of venothromboembolism. It's a group of diseases that consists of blood clots in either the legs, or in this case with the pulmonary embolism, in the main pulmonary arteries in the lungs.
And I could hear the doctors behind me talking with an urgency that told me this was a big deal. There was no sense of panic, but I started thinking something bad is going on here. After I found out that there was a blood clot in my lung, it still didn't register to me that that was a big deal. I didn't understand the severity of the situation, and that's simply because the doctors are trying to figure out how to get me taken care of and how to get it done quickly.
The reason that we chose to use a more advanced technique with Mr. Kerr was because he had a very large clot that affected both sides of his lungs, was making his heart work very hard. The positive outcomes and the highlights of Mr. Kerr's case were obviously that the process worked, and it worked very quickly and thoroughly. Up until this technique, the average length of stay that Mr. Kerr would have had would be anywhere between 5 and 10 days, several of those days potentially in the intensive care unit. We were able to send him home at approximately 48 hours and really being back to his normal activities in about a week's worth of time.
The personnel at UPMC Hammett were as professional and understanding and obviously very knowledgeable about what was going on to me, because they were ahead of the game every step of the way.
In patients that present like Mr. Kerr, as many as 40% of them die before they ever make it to the hospital. By having this technology at UPMC Hammett, not only did we make him feel better, but we reduced the likelihood of him dying and improved the quality of life.
I still haven't got my hands around the fact that I came very close to dying, and that still affects me periodically. I think I have to get through that. All I can do is promote people that you have to not be afraid to call 911, and if something does happen, have them take you to UPMC Hammett. It's the right place to go. They know what they're doing, and they saved my life.